Hello, this is Ruth Sanderson. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This recording was a live tutorial that I did on my Facebook art page on coloring a night sky. And at the end there's also a bonus time lapse using a different blue color scheme. So I hope you enjoy this demonstration. Thanks for watching. So this is going to be the theme today. Night skies are perhaps one of the most difficult things to color, whether you're using grayscale, whether you're coloring over grayscale, or you're coloring from scratch on a line art book where there's a sky area that you want to make it dark and night. That's even harder, I believe, starting on white paper because you are going extremely dark. So you need a lot of layers of colors. Hi, Lynn. Lynn is joining us. So I would like to take away the daunting aspect of coloring skies for people that are daunted by this this procedure, which for me, I personally would much rather color a sky with oil paint, but there are lots of pictures in various coloring books that have night skies, and if you do take the time, you can do a really nice job on night skies. And especially, I think the most fun part is adding the stars, so I'm going to cover that as well. And as you can see here, before I start my demo, I wanted to talk a little bit in general about the concept of coloring a sky. Hi, Laura. Laura's joining us, and Gary. So to me, coloring skies is all about overlap. Skies in general are lighter at the horizon and darker as you go up higher into the sky. And this is true whether it's daytime or nighttime. So in nighttime skies, you never want to make a picture completely dark. A realistic night picture would look close to black. So we're simulating here the concept of night by using very rich blues and going up into some pretty dark blues. But as we go down, we'll be going and ending with a fairly light pencil, so that if, for instance, you have mountains in the background or something back there, that the mountains are darker than the horizon of the light sky. Hi, Penelope. Welcome to the tutorial. Night skies. So now this one is the finish is burnished just with pencils, and that's the technique I'm going to show live today in a few minutes. I did not blend this with Gamsol. However, you can blend it at the end with Gamsol. The reason I'm not going to show that live is that when you saturate something with Gamsol, which is an odorless, it's like an odorless turpentine, you wet the surface and the paper gets really dark. So the dark gray will show through, and it looks really ugly until it dries, which takes about an hour. So I'm not going to put you through that because I want to show the live process here, and the fact that you can leave it just burnished with pencils. The Gamsol will save you probably a layer of burnishing with the pencil, So it's really up to you whether you, at the end, you yourself want to burnish a picture with colored pencils to smooth out the surface and smooth the colors together, or with something like Gamsol, or even a colorless marker is something you can also blend. And I find that I prefer blending objects that are a little more complex. Something that's very smooth, I like to burnish by hand with colored pencils. So, hi Jean, hi Penelope, hi Deborah. So the concept is all about overlap. And you see here, these are the colors I used for this color scheme. These are Prismacolors, PC. And I used 4. You don't have to use 4. You could use 3. You could, if you don't want to go this light, you could leave 1 out. But I'd say try to use at least 2 or 3. You could use the 2 middle ones if you wanted. You could leave out the top one. And it depends on how dark you want your sky. A night sky, even from here down, would still look like a night sky. So, and it also depends on the particular piece of art that you're coloring. If you're coloring something that's very dark grayscale, you probably might want to go all the way to a dark pencil. I'll show you in one of my books, Merry Christmas. This one probably has the most skies in it. It's got a lot of Santas. And then actually my other Christmas book, Santa's Christmas, has a lot of dark skies as well. So this technique I'm going to show you will work really nicely for those 2 books. One of my princess books, The Snow Princess, it has a night sky that's full of snowflakes. And that one you can really get creative and do a lot of sort of fantasy colors. And you could use fantasy colors for Santa too, and for other things. And I'm sure there are other grayscale books that have night skies. So here's an example of a different color scheme that I colored. This is all colored with colored pencil from the Merry Christmas book. And this is actually the color scheme that I'm going to use today to color the sky. Hi, Laura. Hi, Matilda. Where's the picture? Jean, what do you mean by where's the picture? I'm not actually giving out a picture today. I didn't have time to post one. And because coloring skies takes quite a long time. It took me an hour to color this, and I did a time release on it. So I will post this one in addition to what I'm going to show you today. So let's get started. So today I'm just going to show you let's see. Oh, I know. I wanted to give you a little extra content today. I wanted to tell you about different kinds of paper. I've been getting a lot of questions on what kind of paper to use when you, for instance, get images on Etsy and you want to print them out yourself, or from a demo. And so the cheapest paper that I've found, you can get this in reams of 250 packs, is Spring Hill vellum cardstock. It's really quite thick, and it's a medium surface tooth. Be sure if you get cardstock, you don't get the smooth cardstock. You will be very unhappy. It's very slick, so that does not work well for coloring. So this is one option, and it works pretty well. I personally prefer to use art paper, which is a little, I think a little better for colored pencils. Here's Strathmore Series 300 drawing paper. It's 70 pound. And you can find these online, Amazon. You can find them at Michael's. You know, look for those 50% coupons, and you can often find these. And it's a medium surface, and it's a reasonably thick paper, 70 pound. And the sketch version of this sketch paper is always a little thinner, usually 60 pound, which actually is very comparable. The sketch paper is very comparable to the Amazon Kindle Direct publishing paper that all my coloring books are printed on, and that a lot of people use for producing coloring books. So I really like to color right in the coloring books. I think the paper is fine. I mean, it's a little thin, but it's quite comparable to sketch paper, actually. So anyhow, so that's Strathmore. And here's another brand, the Canson drawing paper, which is a little bit smoother than the Strathmore, but it's still got a bit of a tooth on it. And I think I'm going to use that today to demonstrate coloring skies. And I think I mentioned, but I'll mention it again, what I'm going to do is overlap. And that's the secret to a nice gradation. So I drew here like how much I overlapped. I did this little test piece. So the very first thing that I suggest, and I need my gel pen, is either with a white pencil or with a gel pen to mark your stars. If you don't mark them when you're coloring many layers of blue on top of this, you'll lose the stars. They will disappear a little bit this way too, but you'll still see kind of where they were. So I like to just mark them with either white, and I'm making new ones too. And afterward, after we lay down all the colors, I'm going to show you a technique of making this little halo and making a few of the stars, maybe like that. But you will see that most of that will get eliminated when I'm putting the color on, because I like to go right across and not color around the stars. I mean, I guess you can do that, but I think once you get into the rhythm, it's good to just go for it. And that little nimbus around some of the stars, which is from, this is a piece of a sky in one of my Night Before Christmas paintings. The little nimbuses will disappear, and then we'll recreate them at the end. So I need, so another way, and this will, using a gel pen, the colors that you, when this dries, put over this will, once this dries, which I should not have done this because now I'm going to have to wait till this dries. So don't start coloring right away. When you do this, I'm actually now going to use this one for the demo because I should not have used the actual gel pen. I just demoed how to do it. But this one I'm going to just we'll do an experiment and only do the top half and see how much of the other ones disappear. They probably won't completely disappear, and then you can reestablish those at the end. So, all right, so there it is. All right. So now, down to business. So when you choose your colors, your blue colors, and you don't have to use these, of course. My second set, try to match the kind of the tone of the blue. Notice this is sort of a greeny blue kind of a color scheme. It's more greeny blue. And then the one that I previously showed you that I did the time release on were these colors. So notice, you know, these are more in the cobalt blue spectrum, if you can tell the difference here. So this is going to give you more of that greeny blue, almost, you know, at sunset when you get that beautiful almost aqua-y color in the sky. I just think it's really pretty. So, but you know, this is a nice color scheme too. So, and you can find more on your own. Just, you know, study your Prismacolors. If you've got the big set, you know, you can probably do 3 or 4 more color schemes of various blues. So, hi Charlene and Annette and Lisa. Glad you could join us. All right, so take those away, please. All right. So usually I start when I color with the lightest color, but I feel like it's for the night sky that starting at the top with the darkest color is the way to go. It just felt better to me. So I just want to show you so I've been practicing this a lot. I just want to show you, this is a finished version of this, and I'm going to try to get this done. It might not come out quite this good because I probably went a little bit slower on this one. And so here, for instance, are the overlaps of the colors. And oh, one more thing I'd like to talk about a little. Notice my pencils aren't super sharp, but they're not the pointy type, which is what you get in the box, and a lot of people just use those. However, I find that they get dull in about 30 seconds. So I actually collect old pencil sharpeners. Panasonic is one of my favorites, and it makes a nice long point. You don't necessarily need that sharp point. In fact, after you color for a couple minutes, what's going to happen is your point's going to flatten. See that? And that is actually perfect for making nice even coloring layers. And these pencils I won't have to sharpen for this entire section. I should be able to just use them and keep using them. So starting again with Peacock Blue. So let's put that in the middle. So for the sky, there are different ways to layer. This is one way, which is making these little sort of round, ovally movements. And then I'm going down sort of the second row. And this feels like about the right amount of length of those. You know, you could also cross hatch like that and then cross hatch like that. But I don't know, for skies, I like the more organic circular technique. So I'm going to go down, so notice, so I'm going right over that star, and it's still there. But as I put on more layers, you'll notice it will get they will get a little duller. And these I did put the white colored pencil on. So if you put down a really strong, almost a burnished effect of the white for the stars, your other colors that you put on top will sort of glide right over that and not really stick much. So that's one layer, okay? And I'm going to do 2 more. So you see why I'm working on such a small picture. This is about 3.5 inches by maybe about 4 inches. And this is also why when I upload this on YouTube, I will show the fast, speeded up version, which I think will take about 1 minute to show about an hour's work. And this won't take an hour because it's smaller than the one I demoed. So I'm going back up again for a 3rd layer. Again, see that nice angled tip. So now, I'll mark that. And if you want a darker sky, you could choose yourself to go down a little further. Just at the edge, because that's where your transition into the next color is going to show. You could almost add, maybe a little bit of an extra little soft layer there. That won't be as dark as what's here. And then the next color I'm using is True Blue for this color combination. And I'm going to start about there and go down maybe to about there. So hi, Maria, Esther, and Sabrina. Thanks for joining me. So, if people are just joining and I've missed you, welcome everybody. It's hard to color and look at comments at the same time, but I will try to. And I just watched a demo the other day. If you have any questions while I'm doing this, if you could write them in capital letters, and then I will try, because I have, sort of half an eye on my screen next to me as I'm coloring below the screen, so it's a little tricky. Oh, and see, while I'm talking, I went over my line, but that's okay. So now I'm starting the 2nd layer. It's all about patience. As you folks who are colorists already know, and you folks who are not colorists, this is something that might be new to you. Coloring books have changed because now that there is this adult coloring book market, people have discovered new things to offer, such as coloring over grayscale pictures, like this. And I have a lot of paintings that I've made over the years for my mainly for my children's books, lots of fairy tales, which I've now turned into grayscale coloring books. Things like The Night Before Christmas, which I showed you. And I have a lot of Santa art. All right, was that 3? Let's see what I'm talking. I think that might have been 2. So I'm going to do 1 more. And I'm doing this a little fast. I would probably be going a tiny bit slower. So if you like things like knitting, things that are repetitive, hopefully you might find grayscale coloring fun and relaxing. I sometimes just have a book in my lap or a coloring in my lap and color while I'm watching TV. Just like people knit, I color and draw. I probably draw more than I color. And speaking of that, colored pencil is not my natural medium. As I mentioned, I like oils. I also like scratchboard. So I've never done a children's book in colored pencil. This is a grayscale little section of a sky from my children's book The Night Before Christmas, which I painted in oils. So I'm a traditional artist. I don't do digital art. So here's the third color. Hi, Chris. Oh, thank you, Heather. Nice comment from Heather. So someone has a question. Ooh, can I?
It says, I missed the first color name.
Oh, the color name. I will list these in the comments here, and also when I upload this on YouTube, in the description, that YouTube is set up nicely because there's a nice place you can put a description of the of the piece. So this is Peacock Blue. And I will list these afterward in the comments here. But again, you could watch this later at YouTube if you want and get all the information. I also will be posting a chart with all the instructions, and I'll be doing that on YouTube. So, okay, so we've done this one. We've done that one. So the next one is non-photo blue. And I think I mentioned this last week. I used this. This is one of my favorite colors, and I wish they would call it something else. It's one of the prettiest colors that Prismacolor makes. And one complaint I have about Prismacolor, as I mentioned last week in my Fairy Wings demo, is that I want more light blues, and there aren't very many. And for skies, especially daytime skies, light blues are really the thing that you want to use. And we go from, sky blue light, which is okay, but, I want something in between these two. But Prismacolor, unfortunately, does not make it. So for this one, I think I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. So notice I'm overlapping by, about that much. And don't bear down too hard as you put down your layers. It's a gradual build. Now, if I were coloring this on white, for instance, it would be a bit brighter. But notice how rough that looks and how smooth, relatively, this looks. So in a way, grayscale coloring is easier to me than coloring just line art with on white. when you have a lot of pattern and what have you, the liner is fun. And but when you have larger areas to color and cover, I think Grayscale has an advantage there. And notice that the value of this pencil, in other words, the light, the light to dark value, it's sort of like a 20%. So this is about 20% gray, and this would be the equivalent of 20% in value. Notice how it goes on really kind of perfectly. And that's what, I'm trying to do here, is to find pencil tones that match in value the Grayscale picture. And that's in essence what Grayscale is all about. The values are there to guide you, and you choose the lightness or darkness of your colors there accordingly. So that was the first layer. I'm going up now. Number 2. And see, I've actually gone out of the complete little circular motion, which is sort of that small, and I'm going a little bigger, but the other layer was kind of this sort of semicircular, and now this. And by changing directions, what's happening is that your coverage is hitting, see on this one, it's easier to tell. See how the paper, the paper's rough. It has all these little bumps and grooves, and then by going over, sideways and another way, you start covering some of those. But you're not going to be able to completely cover the white until the end, when you bear down harder on a certain area. And this is called burnishing. So, but you don't want to do that right away, especially something you want a subtle gradation. And in general, if you do that, once you do that, you won't be able to put other colors on top of it. So this is why we use a technique called layering, where I'm using a very light hand. I'm just sort of skimming. So you're not using a lot of pressure when you color. If you had one little area that, you wanted solid, you certainly could just color it. But when you want something subtle, and you have anything really, an object, clothes, face, that has subtle changes, you want to slowly layer first. All right, so I think that's 3 layers on that. So the 4th pencil I'm going to use is Sky Blue Light. And this time, I'm actually going to start from the bottom. And this will be sort of up to you how light you want the bottom of your sky to be. And I don't have the whole picture here with the mountain, etc., or whatever's down there. So, but I feel that skies always look prettier when there's sort of the light at the horizon. But it's up to you how much light you want to put in that. And look at me, I'm breaking my rule. And you can also put more layers near the bottom edge where you want a lighter look. Okay. Okay, so that's the first pass. And if you're happy with just the first pass, you could leave it like that. However, if you would like to have a more finished look, you could go back in and start at the top again and do the entire thing, the 3 layers, completely again. But I'm not going to do that today. You can see how I did that if you go later and find my channel on YouTube. I'll post the link under this on my art page, and the fairy demo is there as well from last week. It's now on YouTube also. But I'm now pressing harder, so sometimes people burnish. So this is called burnishing. So when you do this, it's equivalent of flattening the paper, and you won't be able to put much more color on top of that. And you notice, yeah, I'm now making the stars very, very pale. And then I'll burnish with the next color. Sort of a little less in the transition. I'm actually going to go up. I don't need a smoother transition there. And if you're unhappy with the transition, it's a question of going back and forth with each pencil and feathering up, feathering down, until you're happy with how it looks. And believe it or not, even though this is using quite a lot of the pencil, you would need way more use of the pencil if you were coloring on pure white. And I think I'll maybe switch to the non-photo blue. Which again is my favorite color, and notice that's also taking up most of the sky because it's my favorite blue color. So again, if you prefer the darker look, you could have layered down a little bit more with the darker color. So this isn't perfect by any means because I'm rushing just a little bit. But hopefully you get the concept. And you can go, if you wanted, you could burnish completely sideways to sort of get that sort of horizontal sky going up, but I actually like skies that I feel like this is more like an impressionistic kind of sky. And it's not perfect. It's not perfectly flat, but it's giving you, I don't know, a nice, to me, a nice feel of the sky. And those stars are really disappearing, aren't they? So I'm going to have to do something about that. Let me quickly get down close to the bottom here. Again, this isn't going to be perfect, and I'm almost done, I promise. Yeah, I was a little worried about this one, that it wouldn't be too exciting for people. It's not like fairy wings. And I'll just burnish this last part, just a little. Yeah, this is a little crude, but get the concept. Okay, now the fun part, stars. And first, before I go in with the gel pen, which I'm using a number 8, which is kind of a medium dot. The Sakura comes in an 05, an 08, and a 10. So make you can make a fun little, just circle around stars to make them shine. So I do that first because the gel pen is wet, and it will make the paper wet for quite a while. And this is the final thing I'm going to do. And so this one, so even though I burnished, I still can get a little bit of color on that. And this was the star that I had, the little rays coming out. And you can do rays like this, you can do rays like that, you can do, do them in different ways. And then, because the pencil, I'm going over the burnished area, it's not completely white. I'll now go back in with my white gel pen, and you can just add lots of stars everywhere. And if you circle a little, you can make bigger ones or just do dots. And before I finish up, does anyone have any questions about this? You can, of course, use different brands of colored pencils, which might have choices for various other color schemes. So you can go crazy with stars. So there we have it. There is a night sky. And thanks everybody for coming. Let's see, I'm just looking through the comments. All right. Yeah, thanks everybody. And I'm going to try this again one more time next week. That might be my final live one, but you can always find my tutorials on YouTube. They're curated probably a little better than this, and I cut out the boring parts. So look for other tutorials on YouTube. And thanks for coming. And if you like to color and want to join my coloring group, you can find it on, just search for Ruth Sanderson Art Coloring Group and ask to join, and we'd be happy to have you. Okay, thanks again. See you next time.